Welcome in. It is Backstretch Banter on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. I'm your host, Chris Childers. We got a few more left to go, a few more shows, because we only have a few more races this season. Hoping to be back next year for Daytona, and RFK certainly eager to have success in the last three races, but I'm sure everybody's looking forward to the offseason. We have Chris Buescher with us today, who is driver of the number 17 Fastenal, the Ford Mustang. And if you were able to see him right now, he's got a beautiful set of Fastenal tools behind him. Chris Buescher, how you doing, sir? Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, good to catch up. Been a day or two, but fun to be back on here, and I'm sure get into the weeds here before we know it.
We'll definitely get into the weeds. I must tell you, though, after getting to work with this team and work with you a few times, outside of your family, I'm willing to bet that I'm the biggest Chris Buescher fan on the planet. You'd probably be embarrassed if I showed you some of the things that I've collected, but I've got diecast, I've got autographed cards, I got all kinds of stupid stuff. So you have a massive fan in Nashville, and it's been incredible to be a part of this team. Watkins Glen, by the way, let's just go back. Let's talk about something beautiful. Because that was a win. I know it could have been more beautiful had you have been in the playoffs, because that one would have got you around further, which I'm sure was kind of weird and bittersweet all at the same time. But getting in victory lane this year, how important was it to get that checker flag sticker on the car?
Yeah, obviously the beginning of the year was not, uh, and I won't even say not as strong because we were very fast at a lot of different places. We came up just ever so short a few times there, and so we were definitely in contention. We just didn't have everything go our way. Sometimes some of that was pure dumb luck. Some of it is on us and things we've needed to clean up as a whole. So it was nice to go to the Glen, to go through practice and get done with practice and say, you know what, we're in a good place here. Went into qualifying, did not qualify very well, and sat there and talked about it a little bit afterwards, and knew our long run speed was very good, and we were missing a little bit on the short run, and that showed. But ultimately, got into that race and was able to move forward, pass a lot of cars. That long run speed showed up in a really big way, and it really made that race a lot of fun. I love road racing. I like to do a handful of those every year, and fortunately, we were able to do that. Um, it's something that have taken to pretty well through the years. I've had some really good teachers along the way, and I always try and name them and end up leaving some out. But a lot of people that have really helped me hone in on some road racing craft, and it finally showed up. We finally went to a road course, and we've talked about stats and being top 10 or top 11 at almost every road course we've run in the next gen, and being so close to finally get that win was a huge personal check on the list for myself. Also, you mentioned it, and I won't say bittersweet because no part about winning. Uh,
Yeah, you're
was
happy as heck to be in victory
right.
lane. Yeah,
It's a win, right? So you're thrilled.
sure.
But on the back end of it, you do look back and say, man, if some things would have gone differently, what would this season have looked like for us? The problem with doing that, and why we tried not to get too caught up in that, is the entire field can do that. Everybody can go back and talk to you about a race that they would love to have 20, 30 points back. Everybody, and I will say most everybody can go back and say, man, if this guy wouldn't have fenced us 20 laps into our race, we'd be in a better spot. We have a few of those where certainly relying on others to do better would have bettered our season. And again, there's things that were completely in our control that we needed to do better that would have put us in a different spot. So we will certainly be digging deep and looking into all of these things that we can control to be ready for next season. But yeah, nothing about winning had us upset. But
Yeah.
you do think about what may have been if it hadn't been for some other races during the year. But big win for us. fun to go in and not only upset playoffs, but go up there and have to go head to head with one of the ringers. Guys come in as
Yep.
we have yet another road course ringer out there, and to go head to head with him for that win was big, and to do it in a way that was good, fun, respectable racing. To be able to get done afterwards, and for SVG to come to Victory Lane and say good race, and it was that little bit of give and take, right? We're going to give it all on a restart, and he even apologized for getting into us in a turn one on the restart. I was like, man, you don't have to apologize. Like I knew racing's going to get aggressive there at the end, and
Hmm.
I don't mind, the little bits here and there.
Sure.
It's some of the moves where people just keep getting dumped and turned around. That's where it starts to get more frustrating. But that was good hard racing, the way stock cars are designed and meant to be done.
I'm curious. I had a thought pop into my head as you were talking there. When the incident happened a few weeks back with the number 3 card, was there anything that was brought up in the garage, just kind of across NASCAR, where guys, we have to stop this crap? Like it, it was egregious. You were in an egregious situation earlier in the year. Um, and nobody wants that. I mean, nobody likes the post race interview. Is this how we want to race? Is this how we really want to do it? Was that a boiling point with the 3, or are we still seeing a fair share of nonsense?
Um, what I think as a whole, the garage pretty much looked at that one and said, you know what, that was farther than anyone wants to see this thing go.
Hmm.
Uh, we're all aware of why it got to that point, the circumstances that have let it get to that point. That's some of it is not being policed in different ways. We just keep seeing it get closer and closer to that borderline. A lot of it has to do with this car and what it lets you do during races, right? You used to never be able to rough somebody up like that until the absolute last corner because car wouldn't take it, right? Now you can do it lap one to lap
Yeah.
four if you need to. So it's changed the racing in that sense. You used to have a certain amount of awareness and respect for front fenders, right? You didn't want to push a metal fender in on a tire because you were being overly aggressive in a moment or making some kind of dive bomb move, and then end up cutting a tire, ruining your own day and your team's day. So there's a lot of parts of our racing that have changed, some for the better, and I would certainly argue a lot for the worse. But it's different and something that we're having to adapt to. There is still a line, and yes, I think that one crossed it, and we've seen it get reined in a little bit, but it's not going to go away. Everything else still allows that to be a possibility, and
Hmm.
because of that, you're still going to have those moves. I think what ultimately made that one hard to ignore was two cars versus one in two corners, right? You
Yeah.
know, just it's hard to put that one behind you.
I think, and the reason I brought it up is because we've seen a lot of it all season. We've seen a lot of post race where guys are like, what the heck are we doing? I mean, are we racing clean? Or are we gonna have full, have a demolition derby out here? What's the intent of racing? Um, I think what's also interesting too, when you kind of, stack layers on top of the situation, is that we have guys, like you said, why. People are desperate as hell towards the end. I mean, look a couple years ago at what Chastain did. I mean, that's got to be the most dangerous thing I've seen. And yet he rides the wall into a playoff spot. At some point, NASCAR's got to say, this is too dangerous. We have to change how we police this and the stakes. I gotta believe there's something that can be done, because I get taking the risk. I'm sure there was times in that last race where you were ready to do anything possible because it was you and Bubba. Then all of a sudden the 14 wins the race and everything was negated. So I'm sure there were moments like, okay, if I could fly over these guys, I would do it right now. If I could pull a Lightning McQueen and spit over them, I would do it right now. But it's got to be a safety concern, no?
Uh, yeah, I mean, we don't think about that in the moment, right? We're all a little bit stubborn, and
Sure.
and the sport has come a really long way from that side of things, and that's yet another reason why you see it changing is because
Mhm.
everyone forgets that this thing is dangerous, that it can reach up and get you pretty quickly if you're not careful. So I think that's when you started seeing policing of especially the right rear hooks, especially when they're in the dog leg or the
Mhm.
triangle, and we're having these massive impacts, on a knee jerk reaction, to people getting raced hard, right, or feeling like they were wronged. Um, it's hard to hide some of those, right, and ultimately NASCAR had to step in and make a decision. Um, where you wonder where the line is if it comes down to the very end of the race and coming to the finish line, is that still going to be called as foul if you both slide across the line 1-2? Is it's still considered something that you did out of retaliation, or is it something that you're going to say I was trying to take his momentum away from him?
Mhm.
How are they going to look at that the day that it goes very bad? And we don't know that. We're going to have to figure it out. And there's certainly there's been a lot of talk about how that's going to look, and uh, we got a lot of racing left to do this season yet. So we might
3
be
races
up
left.
to this
Yeah.
conversation again, right?
Yeah.
It could be a major talking point after Phoenix. We don't know right now, but certainly there's a lot of understanding we need to get to the bottom of before we really dive into next season and
Sure.
figure what that looks like for all of us.
You have Miami coming up this weekend. There's 3 races left to go. There's a lot of racing left, and you have a bunch of colleagues out there that are trying to win a championship right now and are trying to make it to the final 4 for that final race and have a chance to be in position. How aware are you as somebody who's, I gotta think, wanting to win every race, but also like, all right, can we get to the off season at this point? How aware are you of everything that's happening around you with the guys that are fighting for a championship in a given Sunday?
Um, we're aware of it, but uh, being on the other side of it last year, uh, I don't I don't feel like there's any kind of special treatment that comes with it.
Hmm.
Didn't feel like I got any favors or anything from that side. So, uh, ultimately not going uh, to start doing anyone any favors now. And that doesn't mean anything really. That means approaching every weekend the same as we are. It's go out there, race as hard as you can within reason and respectfully, and you know you're going to take some chances, and most of them will work out, and there's going to be some that don't. But it's just not not going to dive bomb somebody and
Yeah.
put everybody four wide on a restart and just slide in everybody, but that's not my style anyway. So the way I see it, it really doesn't change our approach the next several weeks. To me, what it means is, uh, you know, no time and place, and understand if somebody runs you down from straightaway back and uh, you know gets position on you. It's maybe you don't race them into the dirt, but ultimately, like I said, didn't feel like we got any help from any side of things last year. So not in a place to sit here and say we're gonna give anybody else
Gonna
anything.
help anybody. Yeah, I get it. I was curious, are the manufacturer meetings any different at all though, even if you're not like focused on helping anybody else? When you get into the meeting before a race, is there any, hey Ford guys, let's look at Joey if he needs a bump at the end? Is there any of that, or is it just standard?
Fortunately, fortunately we don't get into the manufacturer meetings very often, and I don't mean that mean, but you know what? It's hard enough to go to the racetrack with teammates and
Yeah.
race them as hard as you would all your competitors. When you get in a room and all of a sudden a third of the field is supposed to be a teammate
Yeah.
of yours,
Yeah.
that really makes your race difficult.
So
So
how often does that happen? Because like we had you and I talked after Daytona, and there was a clear manufacturer strategy, and it slowed down the race for everybody. So is that just before big super speedway races? Is that happening above you guys and they relay the message? Like when we hear there's a manufacturer decision like Daytona, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's typically super speedways. You know,
Okay,
um, that's your Daytonas, your Talladegas.
sure.
I don't know, Atlanta. Everyone has kind of talked about it as a super speedway and plate race, but it's too much of a
It's
hand
different. Yeah.
different. Yes, so we don't do it very often, and there's really very few times where you can really have those conversations and say it's going to really work out in everyone's favor. So you know what? Again, that's fine by me. I don't want to get into the weeds and have to start feeling like you can't race 30% of the field as hard as you
Yeah.
need. Right? Well, it's time to go these things and win. And our sport's different than other sports too, right? Our playoffs. Um, when we get into it, we don't eliminate teams and send them home, right? All 36 cars show up to the track, or 37 cars, or whatever it is. They show up to the track every week. It's not true elimination. We're all sitting there, ready to go. If they expected special treatment for playoff drivers, then we would race four cars in the final race and let them go do it and get rid of any outside factors. But that's not our sport, and we don't want it to be. It's probably my biggest gripe with playoffs through the years is that I don't understand how it works in our sport when it's so different than others.
How would you do it different from a playoff perspective? Is there
Well,
any way to do it better?
you don't want my answer to that.
I don't.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone wants
Okay.
that. But
Don't want to get in trouble.
uh, yeah, I'm just
It is weird though, because like guys like you right now that have no chance of winning a championship, it's got to feel weird showing up to the track when all these other guys are fighting for a championship, and it just kind of, I don't know. Like to me, the field should be on the same page, right? Like everybody should be. It's I don't know. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know what your thought is, but it's interesting.
I'm just I'm a purist, I guess. So
Yeah,
yeah, I miss the Daytona 500 starting your points races and Homestead ending it.
that's it.
And you go to the racetrack every week to figure out how to win, and you take those chances. And at the end of the season, you'll say, "Man, we took three major gambles and they didn't work out, and we paid a penalty for it, and maybe that's why we don't have a championship. But at least we gave it all to win races, and hopefully some of the chances worked out, and you're able to bring home some hardware." So it's just for me, I look at it just a different way
Mhm.
than a lot of others. And I'm not saying that it's right either. I get that there's a certain level of excitement that comes with playoff racing at the end of the season, but it's also hard for me. I get it. We knew the rules coming into this year. Yes, we're frustrated we're not in it. Doesn't mean we didn't understand what we had to do to get it done. We didn't get it done ultimately. So I'm not going to sit here and gripe about that part of it. We've had a great year. We've been very good. We've been close to wins. We've been you know had really good days, and we've been very consistent on the year. And if you looked at our season as a whole and took away what playoffs would mean and all of that, then we'd get to the end of this year and say, man, this was a top five year for us when you just add up all the races. It's not
Yeah,
our system. It's not what we go up against.
yeah.
And so I don't know, my style, how I grew up racing, it works better for the more old school traditional way, and I miss some of that.
There's a lot of people nodding their head up and down, saying, "Preach, Buescher, preach." He is the driver of the number 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang, Chris Buescher. We have more with Chris when we come back right here on Backstretch Banter with RFK Racing. We're back here. It is Backstretch Banter on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Chris Buescher is our guest today, which is always A blast to have the driver of the number 17 who will be in the Fastenal Ford Mustang this weekend. It goes together like peanut butter and jelly. The 17 car and the Fastenal, they're a great partner and really and truly one of the most useful partners in NASCAR because those Fastenal bins are all over the garage there at RFK and even Buescher's personal garage. I'm looking right now. Buescher is a loyal man. He's got his Fastenal bins with tools. He's got his Ford trucks behind him. He's got his hoist. He's got the whole deal. He's got his number 17 hat, the RFK shirt, a loyal brand man, and then some. You know, I love that hat. It is my brother-in-law wears it all the time. My brother-in-law Chris has the number 17 Texas hat, and it's one of the cooler hats in NASCAR because the Texas flag is very pops. And I think when you put it in the 17 and certainly that's your home, it's really neat. I want to get into Texas racing because I've always wondered what the background is like for guys in Texas. Like you mentioned, took you a while to get up to speed on road courses. You needed some teachers. Give us an idea of the old school kind of, Texas racing at the grassroots level. How does it compare? Like, for example, you live in North Carolina. How does the North Carolina scene compare to Texas?
Yeah, this we actually do have time for. It's pretty easy to summarize Texas asphalt racing scene. It's small.
Is it?
It's just there's not a lot of it. We had a few tracks that we were able to go to. One of them was the little 5th mile behind Texas Motor Speedway. That was my home track, which is now a dirt track.
Mhm.
They bulldozed it and redid it. We used to race on the 1/4 mile on the front stretch at Texas Motor Speedway, and then my first road race experience was on the kind of makeshift road course in the infield of Texas Motor
Oh,
Speedway. So
really?
that was
Yeah.
the majority of my racing was right there in that complex. That's the majority of my racing. It's all the car shows that Dad and I grew up going to. We're at Texas Motor Speedway. It's just where I pretty much grew up. Outside of that facility, I really think there was probably 3 other racetracks that I think we ever went to. Um,
Wow.
one was Wichita Falls, which is, I believe, dirt again, which is about 2 hours away. There was Houston Motorsports Park, which was 4 hours, 4.5 hours away. To put that in perspective, uh, from where I'm at now, I can be at Bristol, Richmond, Martinsville,
Mhm.
Darlington, Charlotte, all within that amount of time. So, uh, it's just it's uh, very small, very
It's
difficult.
interesting. It is. I live in Nashville, about a mile away from the fairgrounds, and I know several people that I go to church with that drive legends cars and late models, and it's a
Yep.
part of the culture. It's a southeastern cultural thing where you have these tracks all over the place, and kids love it, and they get into it at a young age. So, what's your story then? How if Texas is football, football, football? How do you get the bug to want to race?
Um, my dad's a hot rodder. It's actually his Bronco behind me right
It's
now.
beautiful, yeah.
Um, he's also always had projects growing up, and so I was always in the garage. Right,
Hmm.
we were race fans. We watched racing growing up. You put TV on and watched in the garage as we worked on stuff, and that was normal. I had a motorcycle when I was 5 or 6. Started racing that, and did that for a couple of years. There was 2 tracks in Texas that we went to on weekends and went and
Hmm.
took off blasting through there. Fortunately, never broke anything doing that, but did crash a couple times along the way. That was uh, fairly significant. Um, and then ultimately, we ended up moving pretty far away from motocross tracks. My dad had a coworker that was racing a Legends car out at the Speedway,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to go play a sport. I wanted to go race in something, and he told us about the Bandolero program. They did a driving school at the Speedway.
Yeah.
Often it was, and went and did that. and pretty much just caught a bug and knew about the speedway out there. Like I said, we went to all the good guys car shows that were out there
Mhm.
growing up. So knew what was around the facility and uh, just took a liking to it. So kind of caught it there. And it used to be a little bit easier to go asphalt racing in Texas. Honestly, it has gotten harder. Dirt racing has definitely picked up a lot more steam out in that area. It's good dirt for it out there, and it's just easier to find a place to go race. So we started traveling a lot when I got to 13, 14 years old. Started coming out to the East Coast. Um, we were racing 6 days a week during the summer in a Legends car, whether that was at Charlotte Speedway, Atlanta, um, near Georgia, Anderson, South Carolina. We were all over the map,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and trying to make sure that we were on the racetrack. Came to the fairgrounds there, raced there maybe 2 times. I mean, we just tried to find different racetracks to go to, and from there realized that and had some good help from the Reagan family, especially, and some guidance to figure out how to get to the Carolinas if we really wanted this to be a career path versus a hobby, right? It was a lot of fun and it was good at. We were able to win a lot of races and felt like it had the potential to make it more than a hobby, and just had to fully commit to it and get out here when I was about 15 years old, I guess.
I know kids that are, 17, 18 who their dad is their pit crew, is the engineer, is the mechanic. Was that what it was like for you growing up with a dad who's a hot rodder? Was he heavily involved with the car?
Not so much once we got to Legends car racing.
Okay.
Say that. So we did. We built our cars and we got everything ready to what we knew how, but we weren't setup guys. And
Yeah.
one of my best friends now uh, is ultimately who we got to take on all of that side of things, right? To start setting up cars. He had a Speedway Legends, a business setting up Legends cars for dozens of people, and
Nice.
racing with him. Ultimately, like I said, was able to win a lot of races. Kind of became the house car. So Dad and myself and Michael, we all worked at the shop, built race cars, worked on customer cars, basically worked for him on other people's cars to help fund our racing and make it work for us. So, once we got to the point where we started traveling a lot more, it was a little bit less of Dad and I on the road, and a lot more of Michael and myself traveling
Yeah.
and going from there. But yeah, I mean, he was my dad being a hot rodder. We had very clean, nice parts on a lot of race cars. He would take aluminum, all the four lane cars,
Mhm.
Legends car. He'd take and polish them. They were all just
Oh, nice.
chrome looking. Everything was powder. It's ridiculously nice to be race cars, and but he has an attention to detail that I got honest on at this point. It's carried over in a lot of things I do, and now it takes me 3 times as long to do most things, but it's because I like to try and
Do
do
it
it
right.
to the best I know how. I won't say right,
Absolutely.
the best I.
Absolutely. Get it done right, and take the time to do it the right way. That's a good lesson that, I mean, hell, how many dads take time to teach that lesson anymore? I'm sure you do. You have the youngsters at home. I know I do, but I feel it's lost on a lot of young people now, and that's a great lesson that pops instilled in you at a young age. Um, we've talked before about the youngsters in racing and how you have your older child who has been getting into it. As that child has gotten older over the last couple of months, are they more aware of what daddy does for a living?
Um, she recognizes me on TV.
How old is your oldest now? Is it two,
She's
three,
almost 2, almost 2.
two? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so still very, very young.
Yeah. But she sees you on TV. That's daddy.
Recognizes me on
That's
TV.
awesome. Yeah.
She loves to be on wheels around the garage here. So,
Yeah.
in front of me, she's got her what do they call this? The little Tykes car.
Uh huh.
It was actually Castrol gift right there.
Nice.
We got scooters laying around here. Yeah, she's anytime you get on the forklift to move something around, she's reaching up, asking for a ride. She wants to be driving anything. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have my hands full with that one. Rhett's a little bit too young to figure out yet. He's 8 months now, just 8 months. So he's got a little bit of time to figure out how much he starts to get into. But I'm concerned that I shouldn't be concerned. I'm excited that they're both gonna fall right in line here, and it's gonna be flat out dangerous right now. I'm basically gonna stop working on stuff in the shop and just set up cones and have mini racetracks. Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. Um, and I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up happening. Like you say that now, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see that happen in the very near future when the kids get a little bit older. How is that going? You had a second child literally what the day before, 2 days before the 500?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's home life?
Right after the well during the duel. Yeah, it's been crazy this year. Been very busy, and my wife is fantastic. She is
Yeah.
uh, obviously got a ton on her shoulders here and is handling it quite well. So being gone on weekends, we're not traveling as a family a whole lot yet. But as Red's getting a little bit older, and we're starting to travel a little bit more at this point. And I think next year we should be able to do a whole lot more family trips on the road. So I'm excited about that because it is it was easier being able to bring one to the racetrack and Charles
Oh
get.
yeah.
But with the addition of Red, it's been a lot harder to figure out how to do that, and especially if she wanted to come in on race day with the kids. That's you no longer have man to man coverage, right? So if I'm not there to help with the
Yeah.
flights, that gets a little stressful.
She's running around like a chicken with her head cut off with a almost 2-year-old and a pretty much newborn at that point. That is a lot, no question about it. And God bless her. She's a superwoman. What is your expectation as soon as Phoenix is over? Does she go like this with Rhett and just hand them to you and say, I'm taking a nap for a couple weeks? I mean, has she laid out the expectation here?
No, no, we haven't quite gotten that far. More, we drive a little more off the hood pin. We don't go a whole lot further than that day to day. So immediately in the future is this week and the next. We get to the off season, we'll definitely take a step back, take a breather, take a little time. We got a, a a pile of home projects that have piled up around
Oh
here.
yeah.
I'm very specifically only showing you this side of the shop that's behind me because what's in front of me is pure chaos. So we got a lot of organization to do, and what getting ready to come at us. So
Yeah.
excited for all that, but yeah, we haven't gotten into the weeds of what the all season is going to look like just yet.
I'm sure she has in her mind. She's got plans for
That's definitely possible.
we're
Yes.
doing this, we're doing that. We want to go here. I'm sure she's put together a whole battle strategy. If she's anything like my wife, as soon as my big seasons are over, it's hey buddy, here's what you're doing, and you better get it done, or there's gonna be hell to pay. So professional athlete or not, the wives don't seem to care. They have things that need to get done at home.
Okay.
Chris Buescher, our guest. We got more with the driver of the Fastenal Ford Mustang number 17 when we come back on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. We're back here on Backstretch Banter, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. I'm Chris Childers. Chris Buescher, the driver of the number 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang, is our guest today. We've been having a lot of fun talking racing and family and Texas and all kinds of cool things today as we get ready for the end of the season. No playoff to fight for, no championship, but still lots on the line. And another trip to victory lane would be very nice in Homestead-Miami this weekend. Nobody would complain about that. I guarantee you. You are in the Fastenal wrap this week, but which always looks gorgeous. But some big news next year. I just saw a picture, little different look, and it is sharp. It pops. To me, it kind of reminds me of the Castrol with the way that, the colors and the I don't know if there's a silver that kind of pops, but it looks sweet. It really does. So once again, Fastenal hooking you up, Chris, with some good stuff next season.
Yeah, we just did our paint paint scheme unveil. Really excited about that. Definitely gives off a little bit of a different vibe than what we've had for the last little while. It's been a lot of black and blue, and uh, kind of throwing back almost to what I remember on the 60 car back in the Xfinity days. We had the
Yeah.
blue and white scheme together with Fast on board there back in 2015. So pretty neat. Looks really good. Excited about that. Our paint schemes have been very strong through the years. We've got a solid solid group there setting us up and designing what we take to the racetrack every week, and what really looks good. So excited to get that on track and next year. But yeah, for later the season, we're going to stick to um, our black and blue paint scheme and figure out how to get it in the victory lane. We've been fortunate enough to be able to put Fastenal in victory lane a few times over the last couple of years, and it's been really rewarding. They've been such a great partner of ours for over a decade at this point, and to be the driver to get them into a Cup Series victory lane is truly special from my side of things. Especially being that I've worked with them for almost a decade now as well. So
Yeah.
very very neat, very special to be a part of that. Proud to have them back with us next year. Obviously, great partner. Got some great friends over there, and they're really instrumental in everyone at RFK from the partner side. But obviously, we use their stuff too.
Oh yeah.
That's
Why
what
wouldn't you? Right? I mean,
exactly.
great. They are a wonderful company. They have a product that is extremely useful for a NASCAR team, and they get it. They get the value of the partnership. We've had representatives from the organization on before, and you could just tell they understand the value and they understand how important the relationship is. I will say this: the paint scheme for Fastenals always looked really good and clean, and always, one of those that kind of pops around the track. I think the new one's the best one though. Yeah, it really looks cool. It's got a nice. It's gonna be one of those that's gonna look sweet on a die cast on my shelf very soon. I'll tell you that. It's definitely one of those where I can see myself get that baby up immediately because I think it definitely pops. How much do you do with the partners now that we're 3 weeks away from the off season? I know you got to be with your family, take care of the kids and all that, but how much partner time is spent when you have some extra time in the off season?
Yeah, it's actually a really good opportunity for us to take a little more time. Right, our race track weekends, catching up with everybody is a little hectic. Our schedules are very compact now. We don't come in 2 days ahead of time and have
Hmm.
the time to spend with everybody. So we get a little bit more time now that we after we get out of Phoenix, right? So we got some good stuff coming up. We'll head up and do some appearances with some new partners of ours. We'll go. Fastenal has a big convention, or a couple conventions. This one we're able to make down in Orlando at the end of the season, so we'll go down there and get to be a part of that. They'll have, I think it's somewhere between 3 and 4 thousand employees at that show, so that's a
Oh
big
yeah, it's a big show.
couple of days that and able to catch up. That was kind of my initial uh, welcome back to RFK program was down to that convention and right in front of I think it was 3,500 people that year, and basically had a little Q&A, this or
Hmm.
that, and let me tell you, being booed by 3,500 people for saying that I like boneless chicken wings over bone in, quite embarrassing. Yeah, not a good start, but other than that, it's been a lot of fun. It's also been really neat to see all those employees really start to thoroughly enjoy the racing program, to really pay
Yeah.
more attention than they had in the past. It's fun to go to that show now and not just not have people come up and ask, you know, how'd you do this year? It's people coming up and saying, man, I seen that race. That was fantastic. I was there. We got to go to this race. The engagement through internally with FASO, that's been a lot of fun throughout the last couple of years to see really pick up. So, just short examples of what we get to do as we have more time and are able to actually have those couple of days on several events through the next couple of months that we can really sit there with friends and have a little bit more meaningful conversation than we can get in
Sure.
15 minutes at the racetrack right before
Yeah.
we scurry off to the driver's meeting.
It's important. It's important. Those people are, massively important to making these cars go around the track every single week. And I know you recognize that. You're important as far as getting their message out there. We had great partners this year with Castrol and Build Submarines and Fastenal and on it went. Wonderful people. Hoist. Love seeing the little hoist bottle hanging off the gas. That was pretty cool this year. I love that. I'm like, I don't think that would be safe to drink, but it
We
looks
don't drink
cool.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't drink that one, but it looks
No
cool.
fees.
That would be bad, but really great partners with RFK. You guys got some special people to work with. Let's take a break. We'll come back and preview Miami. We'll do that next right here. Chris Buescher, our guest. I'm Chris Childers on Backstretch Banter with RFK Racing. We're back here on Backstretch Banter, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. I'm your host, Chris Childers. We are headed to Miami Homestead this weekend. 3 races left to go. For some other drivers, they are in the midst of the playoffs and the nonsense that comes with that. For RFK, they're not worried about stage points or anything. Just get to victory lane, do what you can, and hope for a great result at the end. Before we get back to Chris, do you want to say thank you to everybody for helping us put on the show? Thomas Burfield, who runs things behind the scenes, Kevin Woods, Brandon Lee, Elijah Burke, outstanding. Alec Walt, the SiriusXM producer, puts it together every week in DC. We appreciate his hard work as well. Mr. Buescher, it is all about Miami this weekend. You've had some success on that track. Is this one you like? Is this one you deal with? How do you feel about Miami Homestead?
I really like this race. I've enjoyed this track for a really long time. It's it's very unique, right? It's the surface is worn out more than any other place we go to now that Atlanta has been reconfigured.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to slide around a lot more. Could be right up against the fence. The old car had a little bit more of a benefit of being right up against the wall than this one, but it's still a big part of it. It's something that racetrack where our mile and a half program uh, last week in Vegas, we had a really fast race car there. Really proud of that one and ended up with a top 10 on the day. We were certainly capable of more than that and just the way it played out the end. Um, but that gives us a lot of confidence and excitement heading into Homestead, right? Another mile and a half that we can take a lot of what we figured out there and apply it. This last time we were there, it wasn't a great start for us on the weekend, but we got our race car a lot better throughout the day. The 6 was very competitive. So we're very optimistic heading into it. It's a track that we've been able to get some stage wins and run up front, and excited to get back down there. And unfortunately, we don't close the season out there anymore because I really did love that as the final.
Mm-hmm.
Excited to go down to that racetrack and go figure out how to go fast and go fast for a long time there.
Yeah, you mentioned you started off a little slow last year, and then it got better as the weekend went on. How much do you know when the car arrives at the track? Do you have any idea at all how the hell the thing's going to drive, or is it you have to get behind the wheel to? And then at that point, how much are you telling the guys? I need this, I need that. How much is that going on early?
Yeah, I mean the practices are so short now. What you unload with is very close to what you're going to end with. We're pretty
Mhm.
limited what we can adjust. Um, I would love to say that I knew how it was going to drive when we unloaded. I know how I hope it's going to drive every time,
Yeah.
and our team has been doing a really great job this year of putting fast cars on the racetrack. So um, it's hard, right? This is our races. The speed in your race car is built during the week. It's not at the racetrack once we get into practice. That's the fine tune adjustments. So for us, it's taking notes of what we figured out at other races, whether that was the last Homestead, whether that was other mile and a half this year, and seeing what applies. And I will not sit here and tell you that I'm involved in combing through data on a computer and making decisions on what that looks like. I'm simply the messenger for what I feel in race cars at certain places, what I wanted to do. You try and compare it to the best race car you've ever had at any specific racetrack. Use that as your baseline and try and guide us in that direction. So you know what? It's never a surprise once you get to the racetrack, but you got to get laps to figure out what you're really going to have, what track conditions may be for that weekend, and be ready to go from there.
Fuel mileage played in a lot last week with the top 10 finish. How much analytics goes into that from your perspective, from a driver's perspective of the conversations with you and Graves, and just because I gotta believe a lot of that's luck and some of it's got to be skill, right? Just knowing how and when.
Yeah, I mean, there's I don't have all the info to figure out how it
Yeah,
all played out last week, right? But we knew it was going to be close for some to be able to stretch it. I guess a double edged sword for us, right? We were very fast, and with that, our fuel mileage was a little bit worse,
hmm,
more power down, and uh,
sure.
so it did affect decisions we made during the race, and ultimately, the cars that weren't having a great day were able to take bigger gambles, and it ended up paying off for a lot of them. So I don't know, how much you'll really see that play out at Homestead, just with the surface being so abrasive. The field starts pitting, and you try and stay out, you're going to lose so much time rapidly that you don't really get that opportunity to
Yeah.
try and stretch it like you would at a Vegas.
Different, a lot of fun, a lot of science that goes into it, and little luck you need on your side at these racetracks every week. Probably a lot of luck when it comes down to it to get into victory lane. Chris Buescher, you're the best, man. Congratulations on a great season. Good luck the rest of the way. In the last three, it would be awesome to see a second checkered flag sticker on the car. And thanks so much for being a part of the show today.
Yeah, you got it. That's definitely our plan. Let's go figure out how to put another one or two on there and close this thing out strong and be ready to hit the ground running next year.
Let's get three more and just screw
Three
up the
more.
whole field at the end. That would be kind of awesome.
That would be fun.
That's Chris Buescher, driver of the 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang. We are done for the day. We thank you all for listening to Backstretch Banter with RFK on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90.